The Lions are putting the NFL on notice. The Cowboys are imploding. Cowboys fans, you should be noticed. It's time for Watch DA Live, the Sunday Pig Pile.
Your football Sunday has dwindled down to this. Just a bunch of busted bets and broken fantasy dreams. You need this, and we're here for you. Immediate reaction, big opinions, gang tackling. Be one with the channel. It's DA Sunday Pig Pie. Oink, oink, suckers.
Yes, sir. Week number 9 around the NFL, and we have got it all right here on the old YouTube channel. Everybody, thanks so much for joining us. You watch the aliens. We appreciate your loyalty as always. If you're on Twitter and watching this live stream, remember, we are on YouTube as well. This is where this emanates live from, so get over there. Make sure you subscribe by the end of the show. That way you'll get notified next week and the following weeks when we do this each and every Sunday night. Also, for those of you on the YouTubes, you know where to find us for the DA Deep Dives as well. Each and every day throughout the week, we piece together an incredible week that is and was. So make sure you are subscribed right here to the DA Show YouTube channel. Coming up tonight, Shawne Merriman's going to join us, former NFL All-Pro and Pro Bowl linebacker. He was in Buffalo today, so we'll talk to him about the Bills getting the win over the Dolphins, former Bill player himself. Also, we've got a very special guest later on in the program to help us walk through the logistics of what to expect from Bob's Bar. That's right. A week from tonight, we're at Bob's Bar. A wonderful open bar outdoor experience unlike any other. We have done the radio show there. We have never done Watch DA Live on YouTube there. This will be the first maiden voyage at Bob's Bar. Here's the logistics that you need to know. A week from today, we'll be there beginning at 9:30 Eastern time. That's when the gates open for Giants and Panthers. Where else would you rather be than watching a Giants game from London with Bob, okay, and Bob's family, and the Bob conversation around you. So that's when we start, okay? Well, I should say that's when doors open. Then we'll watch NFL throughout the day, and we will do this show live from Bob's around 5 o'clock Eastern time next week. We will wrap by 7, and then doors close, and everybody heads out to do your normal Sunday night football revelry, merriment, hang out with one another. We'll point you in direction of bars and restaurants, etc. But we want to make sure, since we are on visiting property, we want to make sure that Bob makes a good night out of it and we don't overstay our welcome. So that's the deal there. We're going to have food. We're going to have drinks. We're going to have music. We're going to have football. We're going to have Bob. It's going to be amazing. So that's what you need to know. It's in West Babylon, New York, on Long Island, about 30 minutes, depending on traffic from Manhattan, maybe 45 minutes, depending on what time of day you're trying to get out there. There is a Long Island Railroad stop if you wanted to get there via public transportation. That's the deal. And if you need specific address for this, you can contact me on social media. You can contact Aiden on social media, or you can email us, watchdalive@gmail.com. You're going out to West Babylon, but before we give out a private residence address to the world right now, we're going to get a few RSVPs here. So we kind of know the guest list, if you know what I'm saying. So reach out to me on social, reach out to Aiden on social, or email us, watchdalive@gmail.com, and you will get the specific address then to show up. You know, it's kind of like your Wonka golden ticket for a week from tonight, week 10 of the NFL amongst everybody. And I've already got some RSVPs from some Watch the Aliens, loyals, regulars, legends, which I'm super excited about. I cannot wait for next week. It's going to be awesome. More on that as we make our way through the show. But let's get to your Furious Five tonight. That's right. Give me the Furious Five graphic there, and let us begin with Fitz Magic. Fitz Magic is the best fits of the week in the NFL, and here's some of the players that showed up to the stadium today and looked wonderful. We begin with the Lions wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, showing up to Lambeau Field with a very simple message. Green Bay sucks. Now, I don't know if that's specifically the Packers or that is the city itself, but he's in Green Bay, walking off the team bus and flying the flag of how much the Lions hate traveling to Green Bay. And they are putting it on the Packers as we speak. An impressive performance. And boy, this Lions team is dangerous, obviously. They're showing it again today. Also, earlier this afternoon, here's Geno Smith arriving in Seattle as the Seahawks host the Rams today. And he's wearing a pretty amazing hat. I mean, look at this hat. It's like oversized and furry and bedazzled and looks very cozy. So perhaps this is the next movement around headwear in the winter months. It is Geno Smith's hat. Very nice. Looks like he's staying warm also with a cup of coffee or something in that mug. And finally, from the Eagles, as they wear their beautiful Kelly green throwbacks today, that is Isaiah Rodgers. Isaiah is getting the start tonight at cornerback because of the injury to Darius Slay, and he's wearing a Slay throwback jersey. Pretty cool. That guy's getting the start because his teammate is injured, and he's honoring his teammate in doing so. And you got to love the Kelly green jerseys. My goodness. One of the cleanest, most beautiful outfits, uniforms, kits in all of the NFL are those Eagles throwbacks, and they're wearing them today. And you can see why the Philly fans want to see them more frequently and why I want to see them more frequently as well. The Eagles trying to hold on to a 28-23 lead over the Jaguars when it goes final. We'll tell you as much. When the Lions and Packers goes final, we'll tell you as much as well. All right, we begin now with that Lions team. And even though at the moment it's not final, let's just say this right now. The Lions are every bit the Super Bowl contender that the Kansas City Chiefs are. That's right. I said it. Now, the Chiefs have won 3 Super Bowls under Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They've gone to 4 of them. They've been to the AFC Championship game every single year with Mahomes, and they'll be there again. There is no doubt in my mind we can pencil the undefeated Chiefs into the AFC title game. It just depends on who they're going to play. But we can say the same thing about this Detroit Lions squad. This is another statement. They're on the road in sloppy, mucky conditions, and they're putting it on who I believe is the second best team of the NFC. And they're creating a separation between themselves and everybody else in that conference. Now, look, this is do or die for the Lions this year. Either you get to a Super Bowl, your first one ever, or it is a failure. Make no mistake about it. There's no in between. There's no getting back to the NFC Championship game as a moral victory. There's no, we played it close. We almost got there. They have never been to a Super Bowl, and this year they got to get to one or it's deemed a failure. But this Lions team is showing again today why there is the Detroit Lions and then everybody else in the NFC. It's a nasty game. It's a windy game. It's a rainy game. And at least in the first half, we saw that offense click when it had to click. The Packers are clearly limited with a injured and hobbled Jordan Love, and the Lions have given them no life, no breathing room, no oxygen. The Packers offense has not been able to get anything going all day, so the Lions defense doing its job. And the Lions just went into a tough divisional place to play and clobbered them and sent a statement. We can talk a lot about the Eagles, and maybe they've got something left in the bag. We can talk about the Niners or their DNA. We can talk about other teams of the NFC that may or may not be able to put something together for December and January. But there are the Lions, and there's everybody else. The Falcons look good today. They've looked good a couple of times over the course of this season. But there's the Lions, and there's everybody else. And let me tell you, today is also a statement because the Lions have yet to have played outdoors until today. They had played indoors the entire season up until today. And after today, they won't go back outdoors until the third to last week of the season. You got to get to January before they'll go outdoors again. They will have only played 3 outdoor games all year when the regular season wraps up. But it just goes to show you they can win indoors and outdoors. And with the 1 seed, they would get the bye and then 2 home playoff games. They're obviously incredibly dangerous. Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, that team, despite losing Jameson Williams on offense to the suspension, losing Aiden Hutchinson due to the injury, they have just kept this thing going. And last week was the type of statement a great team makes over a bad team. And what they did to the Titans, they dissected them like a science class frog. Today, it's different. That's a really good Packers team in really sloppy conditions. And for most of this game, the Lions have dominated. There's Detroit and everybody else in the NFC. And if it's not Chiefs and Lions in the Super Bowl, somebody had a hell of a playoff game to knock one or both of those teams off. Right now, the Lions are trying to hold on to this lead, so the Packers have just punched it in to make it a closer game than it was. It was 24-6, now 24-12, as the Lions tried to ice this one and move to 7-1. All right, speaking of the Falcons, I'm going to start by giving some credit to Atlanta. This Atlanta team has swept the second best team in their division, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This Atlanta team began a little rocky and now has come on recently. Their new quarterback, Kirk Cousins, did not have great grades coming out of the first 2 weeks, but that Philadelphia comeback, week 2, Monday Night Football, that started to change what the Falcons thought they could be and what they really were. And today, more of it, you saw a good competitive playoff team against a bad one. The Falcons were supposed to win and did it. And so credit Atlanta. They are a good football team. Credit Kirk Cousins. He is a good quarterback. This is a 1:00 game, so you don't have to worry about Kirk Cousins at night in prime time, etc. But the Falcons keep the pressure on the rest of that division and look for a home playoff game. Nice job by Atlanta, Raheem Morris and company. But today is mostly about the Cowboys and the fact that the season is now officially over. You heard me say this on Sunday morning on the NFL Tailgate Show on Sirius XM's NFL Radio Channel 88. I said the Cowboys are going to lose this game, and that's going to be the official end of this season. And that's absolutely what's happening, and I'll tell you why. This week, you had 3 different Cowboys players, all of which had some type of influence inside that locker room. Essentially say, we don't care about the team. That told me all I need to know about the DNA of the Dallas Cowboys. If it was in any type of question, now it's no longer in question. That team doesn't care about one another. Earlier in the week, Micah Parsons has to do his podcast, obviously, because even though he's not playing football, how could you not talk for an hour about not playing football and about the guys playing football? But he and Trayvon Diggs, a teammate, went over their top quarterbacks in this league. They got through 8 QBs and never even mentioned their own guy, Dak Prescott. Now, you can certainly make the argument Dak, coming into the day, was not one of the top 8 quarterbacks in the NFL. But if you care about your team and you're all pulling in the same direction, there is a message inside those walls. We defend one another. We protect one another. We speak well of one another. When you watch that podcast, Trayvon Diggs and Micah Parsons, it doesn't even cross their mind to mention Dak Prescott. Not even close. And they're mentioning a rookie like Jaden Daniels. They're mentioning an old guy like Matthew Stafford. They're mentioning Sam Darnold. I mean, and it doesn't even cross their mind to bring up Dak. Number one, hey, Micah, you might want to just shut off a microphone because you're not playing and not contributing. So is it really that important for you to keep talking right now? But number two, if you're leaders of this team, you got to circle the wagons around your own guys, and they did anything but. Then you have Ezekiel Elliott this week, who just flat misses a team meeting on Friday. That's his third missed meeting this season. He's been late for tons of stuff throughout the year. And finally, the Cowboys had enough and said, look, you can't even make the trip. You got to stay home in Dallas. Now, imagine how bad it's got to be for the Cowboys to elicit some discipline. It's got to be really bad. Again, Zeke going into a crucial game. I mean, the Cowboys under 500 coming into today's game against the Falcons and didn't even bother to show up for practice or classwork or film work or whatever. Not pulling in the same direction. And then you saw the team play like that. There is a reason the Dallas Cowboys implode every year. It just so happens it's happening this year about 2 months ahead of time. We don't even need to wait until the playoffs for it to happen because it's happening now in early November. Jerry Jones sniping with talk show hosts. Micah Parsons doing podcasts when he's injured, not even mentioning his quarterback. Ezekiel Elliott not even showing up to practices or film sessions. Speaks to an organization that does not have the main thing. In fact, it's anything but. And then you add to it Mike McCarthy, a guy who's been walked all over many times throughout his career, and you have the perfect storm of a Cowboys team that is hollow, without any center, without any DNA of winning, without any competitive integrity, without any focus or protection of one another. You've got nothing. And it showed today. Dak also injured in the game. And with everything that has happened upon the Cowboys fans can at least take this. At least you don't have to wait until January to watch your season implode. You don't even have to bother watching the final 2 months of the season because it is over. Next up, let's talk about winners and losers today, okay? The winner, the big winner today, the New York Giants. TA, how is that? They lost to the Commanders today. Daniel Jones, once again, hard time finding the end zone. Questionable play calling, especially on 2-point conversions. Why would the Giants be a winner? The Giants are a winner because they're doing something this year that they didn't do last year, and that is lose. Lose enough to angle for one of the best quarterbacks in the draft. You see, the Giants, without the silliness of Capiche over here, Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets, could have been in line for either Jaden Daniels or Drake May. Wouldn't that have been nice? Certainly, Jaden Daniels is a franchise changer, and the early returns are Drake May's pretty darn good as well, forcing overtime today and looking okay in his first couple of starts in New England. Instead, the Giants won too many games and got Malik Neighbors, who is a fine consolation prize, but he doesn't change an organization. A quarterback does. The Giants need their next QB. Well, today, they lost again to fall to 2-7. Then also note that two other teams that they're battling for at the top of the draft order, one, the Carolina Panthers, and the Tennessee Titans. So if you are a Giants fan, today broke your way from moving up jockeying position up the standings. Now, the problem is you do not have the Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels this year at the top of this draft where you go, slam dunk, take them. They're going to be great. You have two guys right now that are going to be the top two quarterbacks selected. And I think they both come with questions. Colorado's Shedeur Sanders and Miami's Cam Ward. But for me, I like Cam a lot. Hashtag crash for Cam. If you're the Giants, you know that your future is not Daniel Jones. You don't need to win many games this year. Heck, especially because Mraz says, you know what? We don't even need wins for both Brian Dable and Joe Shane to save their job. So who cares? At this point, you know what? Lose as many games as humanly possible. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Lose those football games, huh? Lose those games. All right, those are winners and losers from today. Again, some of the late games just wrapping up. Now the Eagles are going to end up icing the Jaguars 28-23, just a couple of seconds left in that one. And so Doug Peterson's return to Philadelphia this time around also ends with a loss. Maybe he can go by the statue and rub it on the head for good luck for his next time around, because he might not be coach of the Jaguars for much longer. Also, we are going to have a very special guest coming on the show a little bit later on in the program. And so stick around for that, because we are going to bring you some very special details about the Bob's Bar show next week. But first, I want to get to Matt Eberflus, because this guy should be worried, very worried. The Chicago Bears, what are you doing? This was a team that last week gave up the Hail Mary in Washington, and today ends up going to the desert against the Arizona Cardinals and getting their butts handed to them 29-9. And I am here to ask this question. What is Eberflus doing? Last week saying that the play before the Hail Mary, an easy play for 13 yards that moved the offense up a little farther to make sure that Jaden Daniels had a few more yards to play with, was not a big deal, or a non-entity or whatever, was silly. You had veteran players questioning practice habits and preparation going into that game last week. You had players questioning play calling of the game last week. And then you had today's lethargic, miserable effort by the Bears. Matt Eberflus, you are on watch. You are on watch because your team, after that loss last week and everything that you dealt with over the course of the week, and the veterans questioning your coaching style and the preparation of the squad, didn't even get off the bus. A pathetic, miserable effort by Eberflus. And this Bears team should not be dead team walking in early November. They had a chance today to beat a team that they'll be jockeying for with playoff positioning if they would have won that game. That's an important game, the playoff standings, the Cardinals and Bears, and they barely decided to get off the bus. A pathetic, miserable, non-effort, no-show in the desert. And Eberflus, after all of the chaos of last week, and the way that that game was lost, and the way that his players talked about him and the team and the staff, etc., you should not be comfortable, Matt Eberflus, in that position. And I don't know what the Bears ownership is thinking, but I do know this. The Bears could do better than Eberflus. I know that. I know that. I would say for Eberflus, you might want to make sure you're researching your real estate agent's number, email address, and contact information. Make sure that's updated, because by the end of the season, you might be looking for a new home, new work elsewhere. That's a pathetic effort by the Bears today. Truly pathetic. They should be embarrassed about it. In Buffalo today, the Bills got a win on the hairs of their chinny chin chin. A late field goal by Tyler Bass ends up winning the game for the Bills over the Dolphins. Guess who was there? One of the former Buffalo Bills defensive players that had a lot of fans around the city. Let's welcome on right now to the show, Shawne Merriman. Very excited about our next guest here on the show. He was a multi-time Pro Bowler, was a first-round draft pick of the Chargers, and then finished his career in Buffalo, where he is throwing a pretty epic party, and Bills fans, they know how to party. I was just up there a couple of weeks ago for the Titans game, and I got a firsthand account of the good party atmosphere up there in Western New York. Joining us here on the show is Shawne Merriman. Shawne, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
Doing great, buddy. As always, good to catch up with you. And the Bills, they snuck by today. They got a 3-point win over the Dolphins. Wasn't always pretty, but they got the job done. What's the takeaway from the Bills' ability to get a W today?
Well, they had, if you were a Bills fan, you were shook the first half because they just wasn't clicking, couldn't punch the ball in. One of them played the ball right in the money to the wide receiver, the interception towards the end zone. But more importantly, man, they seemed like they were a different team coming out in the second half. First half they had a big problem stopping the run. But I'll tell you, man, these divisional games sometimes, they're the toughest game. Even the other team is not as good as you are. It's just something about these division games that the level is higher, right? And look, we always say a win's a win. You'll take it. What is it, they're 7-2 now, and I'll say this, and they're probably one of the teams that's not talked about enough, the most quiet 7-2 team out there right now. But they're going out getting it done. That's what's most important.
For years, they've been one of the best teams of the AFC, but unable to get past the Chiefs in the playoffs. Do you think it's any different this year? And if so, why would it be different this year for the Bills?
I was talking about that before the game. I said, this team feels different because they're beating you on multi-facets, right? It's not like they got to get the ball in Stephon Diggs' hand, 10, 15 times, a big play wide receiver. They're spreading the ball around. And so they're keeping a lot of teams on their heels where you can't really game plan them as much. I think that's a big difference in this team going out this year. It's not one player you got to stop. They're running the ball extremely well. And Cook, man, Cook is doing something this team really needed. He's stepping it up. That play in the end zone where he kind of put his hand down on the ground and went another 4 or 5 yards ahead. They're running the football well. They're establishing run. They're playing a great 3 phases of the game. And so this team feels different than it has been in the past where they couldn't get over the hump. And I think this year they'll be able to do it.
So you think you give them a chance to beat the Chiefs if they meet in the playoffs?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think, they're obviously going to come out of that division and win, but they're going to cause problems against anybody, especially early on in the playoffs. And if you're an AFC team, you're hoping that you don't see them because you know they're going to be riding high going into the playoffs. And when I was in the building today and around some of the players, you get a different feel in the conversation you had with these guys in the previous years, even with Josh Allen and as well as Josh Allen played. You have a different conversation with these guys. There's a different level of confidence. They seem like they're not too high, not too low in themselves, and it's work. It's just work week. Not really talking about Super Bowl. They're not talking about the Chiefs. They had their mindset out on the next game. That wasn't the case last year because it was so much, almost like a dark cloud that they had to get over because they just couldn't get over the hump. This is not the same team they were last year.
You had to retire due to injuries. Tua Tagovailoa has come back after the concussion. They are 0-2 with him back. Do you think that it's smart for Tua to continue his playing career?
I got a chance to I ran into his parents a few weeks ago. And then his younger brother, Tulio, played quarterback at the University of Maryland. So I, got some ties there. And, I told his parents, I said, just make sure he take care of himself. I think it's unfair for anybody to tell him or make a decision why he should or shouldn't play. I think that there's enough on the table because we all know there's a risk reward playing this game. Every player knows when we go out and play the game, there's a risk reward, whether it's a head injury, whether it's a shoulder injury, back, knee, a hip. We all know we're not walking from the game completely clean. We know that. But I think to at least go out and try it. Now, I will say this. If it happens again, I think the NFL or the Miami Dolphins organization will step in and say, okay, enough is enough. Because now it's just been too many concussions, too many injuries in order for them to basically check him going back out there because they don't want to be liable either. I think a lot of people are misinterpreting that. Like, yes, Tua can make that decision, but it may get to a point where the NFL or the organization step in and say, we just can't let you do it anymore because it's too much of a liability for us.
You mentioned that you're in Buffalo today because Lights Out Sports TV was at the Ultimate Fan Zone in Buffalo. And it was interesting because the bulk of your career, the best years of your career happened with the Chargers. But you said being with the Bills the last couple of years of your career, one of the best things that ever happened to you. Why was that? Why was that so special for you to go there the last couple of seasons?
I think we all talk about Bills Mafia and we see the tape, social media stuff that goes viral. But man, playing in front of these guys, you feel like you're playing in front of family, a second or third cousin, that you feel like that they're there to support you, win or lose. They got your back, and you want to return that favor. And kind of walking into the, to the tailgate. You mentioned we had a new free ad-supported streaming service for Lights Out Sports TV. I walked out there, and they just went nuts. And as you said, man, I wasn't what I was when I played for the Chargers. And I didn't have the career I had with the Chargers and the Bills, and they welcomed me in with open arms, man. I always appreciate that. But playing in front of that, and I meant it. I'm not just saying, I meant it. That I wish every player got an opportunity to experience something like that.
It's such a unique place to play, to watch a game, to be part of the community. I've gotten to go up there a couple of times over the last few years, and every time it is just so special. From the atmosphere to the fans to the community, it's like a small town as a big city that has a football team almost like a college team. It's so close to college that it's unlike anything else in the NFL, maybe outside of Green Bay, that it is just so incredible. So I can only imagine that when you play in front of those fans, it just has to feel unlike anywhere else in the NFL.
When we hosted the show today, I did it with two of my former teammates, George Wilson and Terrence McGee, and we were talking about how much we missed playing in that in some of our most favorite moments. We beat the Patriots in 2011. Thought that we won the Super Bowl, right? Because everybody, obviously, it was so much hate for Tom Brady and the Patriots there in their town. People didn't even go to work the next day. It was almost like a holiday. This is how they treat football in Buffalo, and you don't get that anywhere else. And I think it's such a special place that you can't put into words. You can't describe it and want to feel it. Because I walked into that parking lot and those tailgates today, man, and it was like I saw all my extended relatives. It was the best feeling that any former player can ever have.
It's such a good way to describe it. Those are extended family right there. When you are in that stadium with those fans, that's extended family. So tell our audience about Lights Out Sports TV. You just mentioned as a streaming service, but tell us how our audience can check out more of the content.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You can download Lights Out Sports TV. It's completely free, 100% free. We got 30 different fast channels on there with motocross, motorsports, TNA wrestling's there, Chad. God, man, we got so much stuff on there. 300 sports movies and documentaries. We just announced I got the live rights for the East-West Shrine Bowl, the week of practice. I'm producing the week of practice for the East-West Shrine Bowl leading up. And this is going to be something you got, like, you can't even imagine how intense these practices are, because all these guys are trying to improve their draft. Some won't get a chance to play that much in the game. So they're taking their week of practice as if it's their games because of the prospects and the GMs and the coaches that's going to be there during that week. So make sure you guys download Lights Out Sports TV. We're available on every major smart TV. So you got a Roku out there, Vizio, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, iOS, Android. Make sure you download. And then we got a bunch of cool, like 16 different live sports in there. And I'm going to announce some more college rights over the next 30 days or so.
Oh, this is beautiful. Okay, now we have something to aspire to on Watch DA Live to get onto the Lights Out Sports TV platform for this show here. That's good to know. We're going to keep building towards that. I wanted to ask you about Falcons and Cowboys today, because the Cowboys fall once again, and you have Ezekiel Elliott, who missed practices this week and was left home as a healthy scratch. It feels like things are splintering in Dallas. Is this the beginning of the end for the Cowboys this season?
It's hard to say, because they no matter how you want to look at it, and trust me, I grew up in Washington, D.C., where I had half my family was the then Redskins and Cowboys fans. So my house was divided between those two teams. So there'll always be America's team. But I think the biggest concern is Dak's wrist. I think that even outside of Zeke missing practice and not playing and them spiraling, I think the biggest problem he might have going forward is Dak Prescott may have a serious wrist injury that prohibits him going forward. Also, too, I don't think they were active enough during the offseason. Where a lot of teams making moves and getting players in there. I know they had some contracts with CeeDee Lamb and try to get these guys signed up. I thought there would be more active season. They still got guys to sign. They still got Micah there. They have to make a decision here what's going to happen. A few other guys they have to sign. Again, when you got Dak Prescott making this massive amount of money, it gets thin on the other side of the ball. So they got a lot of figuring out. I think they always got a little bit of a chance because of that division, but the difference is this year, the Commanders are playing well. And so they're not who they were back in the day, and that's what happens. When one team is not that good in that division for so many years, you get a first-round draft pick, boom, Jaden Daniels. Now they got a leader out the Commanders. Now that division isn't going to be able to be ran through like it was in the past. First of all, Dak Prescott's wrist, he may have some serious stuff going on there. Second of all, they let everybody in that division get better and caught up, and so they do have a little bit of an issue going forward.
Well, growing up in a household in an area where huge Washington football fans, the people that you know must be going crazy because Jaden Daniels is a bona fide star. Dan Quinn seems to be the perfect coach for this team right now, and they have turned the page from a lot of years of dysfunction into a really fun, good football team. How excited are the Washington football fans that you know?
Everybody back home is excited, and I even seen some of my family of Dallas Cowboys switch that jersey, and I've seen a couple of jerseys walking around the house now. So I think more importantly, I think what we're seeing is, first of all, let's start at the top, and I'm not saying the head coaching level. I mean at the top in ownership, right? I'm talking about top in ownership. You're starting to see what good ownership, good head coaching trickles down into a locker room, and we're starting to see it with Jim Harbaugh. And how that culture changed. The biggest thing with the Commanders right now, they had a big culture shift from starting from upstairs and all the way down to head coaching and down to the players. You're seeing it on the field. So I'm happy for them because it was a long time coming. We've been saying this for a long time. They've just been missing. They've always had a really, really good players. They had good players in the past. But when you got Terry on the outside, some of these guys who can catch the ball, you got to get somebody to get them the football. They haven't had that. And so I'm happy for them. And I also said this before the draft. I thought Jaden Daniels was the most NFL ready. I didn't say the time. I think, he's not – Caleb Williams is the most talented. NFL ready. Jaden Daniels was going to come in and turn this franchise around. He's doing just that.
It is amazing to watch the franchise totally turn a corner from where it was. You're absolutely right about that. And they get another win today over the Giants and stay in first place in the NFC East. Before I let you go, I wanted to ask you about some of the guys that you played with and the Hall of Fame, because we have whittled this thing down to 50 finalists. And then when we get to Super Bowl week, we will then have the official 2025 Hall of Fame class announced. And Eli Manning is on this ballot. And you, of course, were part of the Eli Manning trade as the Giants get Eli and the Chargers get Phillip Rivers and then a draft pick, which they use on you. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you were a Giant instead of a Charger?
Yeah. I'm an East Coast kid. So whenever I'm in New York, that's always the questions coming up. What happened? We should have came here. And I'm like, no, I think you guys did. I think you guys did okay. But it would have been Giants. Obviously, my family would have been a lot closer. Going to the West Coast a little bit difficult. But I'll say this: Eli was great. I really do. I believe Eli was a great quarterback. And if he gets in, Phillip gets in. That's how I feel. I think that if Eli gets in, Phillip, we're talking about Eli and Phillip. If Eli gets in, obviously last year what happened with Antonio Gates was a tragedy. I mean, it was unimaginable. I was around him when he didn't get in, and I was hurt for him. But I think Eli should get in. If he's not a first ballot, he definitely should get in a second ballot.
I think that the voters will put Antonio Gates in. I think that was a first ballot thing that maybe they wanted to keep him out on a first ballot. But I ultimately think he's a slam dunk to get in at some point in time. If you could only put one of those quarterbacks in, though, Eli or Phillip, who are you putting in?
Well, I'm always going to be called biased for this championship because we all know we base teams, we base quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks, off of championships, and we have those. But when you're talking about statistics and the body of work over a long period of time, I mean, Phillip is up there with the best of them. And so I'm not going to take a shot at Eli because I definitely do think he deserves to get in, but I don't know with Phillip.
It's a good teammate right there. Shawne Merriman, good teammate right there. Nicely done. So Lights Out Sports TV was at the Ultimate Fan Zone for the Buffalo Bills today. So you can check out more, as Sean just mentioned. It's a free channel or free app, which has all these channels on it, all of these opportunities to watch live sports, East-West Shrine game, amongst other things. So Lights Out Sports TV, you guys got a lot popping. Once again, any smart TV, our listeners, our audience, our viewers, they can download it for free on any smart TV.
Yep, absolutely. And completely free. You don't even have to sign up. Just download the app and jump on. 30 different channels on there. A lot of new announcements coming with live sports. Our thing is we want to be the number one in live sports behind the big boys, and I think we got an opportunity to lead in this space.
Very cool. Lights Out Sports TV. Look for it on your smart TV. Download it for free today. Shawne Merriman, multi-time Pro Bowler, Defensive Rookie of the Year, joining us here on the show. Sean, always good to catch up, man. Thank you so much for the time. We love it.
You got it, my man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, that was cool to have Shawne Merriman drop on by, and for his time here on Watch DA Live, Sean is going to receive a bottle of a Santo Tequila. Yes, the cleanest tequila in the game is Santo Tequila. This is Guy Fieri and Sammy Hagar's signature tequila. In fact, I was enjoying just a little bit of that tequila yesterday evening. The Bourbon Bell and I actually got to go out and have a rare night out. We went out to dinner last night and came back, and I got to wind down and watch a little college football with a little Santo Tequila in one hand. So I appreciate Santo's patronage and sponsorship and endorsement of this show, Watch DA Live. Pretty cool. And if you go to their website, santospirits.com, and use our code Mothership, you will get a discount. 10% off your order at santospirits.com using our code Mothership. How cool is that? Thanks to Santo Spirits and Santo Tequila. Santo Blanco Tequila makes great cocktails. Yesterday, the Bourbon Bell and I took AJ out. It's still fall weather where we are in the Hudson Valley of New York, and so decided to go out to a petting zoo, brought him out there, got to see some goats, got to see some donkeys, got to put him in a little like tricycle type of tractor thing and drive him around a little bit around this little dirt raceway. So we did some country stuff on Saturday. And I said, you know what, afterwards, why don't we go grab a beer at one of the breweries around here? So my wife said, yeah, sure, let's do that. So we go. And it's got like these cool micro brews and craft beers at this brewery, and so I got her a little tasting, 2 different little ones, and she drank them and said, "Boy, Mommy could go for a beer tonight." I said, "Yeah." So I said, "Let me see what I can do." So I dialed up my mom, texted her, said, "Hey, could you come over watch AJ just for about 2 hours? We're gonna go grab some dinner." She said, "Yeah, sure." So she came on by. We got to leave the house as AJ was sleeping, and got to go get some dinner and a few drinks. And that was really great. Rare mommy daddy night out. Got to come home. I got to watch the end of A&M in South Carolina, a little Santo Blanco in my hand. So that was a good night. And again, thanks to Santo for helping sponsor our show. Before our very special guest, I want, by the way, I'm going to bring some Santo Blanco tequila to Bob's Bar next week. So if you do come to Bob's Bar, you can sample the stock with me. How about that? Watch DA Live. Not bad, huh? So before we get to our special guest ahead of the Bob's Bar show, it is time for a special segment we call No Game Left Behind. Even the worst games are given some love here on Watch DA Live. And so Aiden Hatton, the executive producer of the show, the Marquette Marvel, will take it away. We have decided that Panthers and Saints, 2 of the worst teams in football, very perfect, made for one another with no game left behind. Aiden, take it away.
Yes, No Game Left Behind returns with a new backdrop, a new city where we taped today, the hometown of my beautiful alma mater, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and a new city to teleport to for this recap, Charlotte, North Carolina. The hometown Panthers were a far cry from the Pink Panther, Black Panther, or any beard-colored panther for that matter. as they returned home to see the Saints come marching in. And a moment for Chris Olave, who did suffer his second concussion of the season, and we do wish the best for his recovery. But to the poop fecta puns, on the day the first college football playoff rankings dropped, New Orleans reminded us to not forget the Blake group of 6 with 2 riveting field goals to make it a 6-zip game after one quarter. The Saints gave us another lesson in not forgetting the little guy, because Hill told the Carolina faithful to taste some of that. The Saints led 13-7. Carolina then went on a run that only my dating profile chats could challenge. 10 unanswered. 17-13 Panthers. Only 4 scores in the entire second half did not make things easy for the John Wilkes broadcast booth, which included Tom McCarthy and Jay. I can't feel my face when I'm watching bad NFC South football, but I love it. But that final score did earn the Panthers their stripes as chubby Hubby Hubbard rumbled into the end zone to give the fans a reason to sing Heads Carolina, Tails California. Yes, the Panthers improved to 2-7, while the Saints kept marching down to, wait for it, 2-7. Derek Carr made history by becoming the first NFL quarterback to ever lose to 31 teams. Yes, that's no game left behind gold. So till next bad game, this is the Marquette Marvel saying, keep pounding that under.
There's a couple of good ones in there. That has a little Canadian bacon flair when we do no game left behind. Some puns in there. Taste some of that. I like that. Keep pounding the under. Very good. But really, the winner here is 10 unanswered, much like your dating profile. That is the winner.
You know, I've learned in the last couple months or so to try to be more open with people and share my struggles. This is one of them. And so it's just going to help get us back in the gym and make things a little bit tighter.
If you watch The Aliens, you know of any single ladies in the Boston area, you could always email watchDAlive@gmail.com or find Aiden Hatton on multiple social media channels and connect him with such, because even though it makes for great puns, 10 unanswered messages his dating profile. We do want to see Aiden with a lovely young woman. So if you're in the Boston area or know somebody in the Boston area that might be interested in a young man such as Aiden, we'll try to connect the two.
It really comes full circle too, because and as Sean logs on here, our special guest, Deer District Diaries, way back in the day, my first segment was the biggest question that took off was, is the Deer District a good place for single people?
Right.
We debated that for weeks and weeks. So
that's
I guess
right.
Now it's coming full circle.
That's right. Well, on Sunday, a week from today, this is big. We have been doing Watch DA Live since I think of the first week of March is when we started this thing. Aiden and I did a Super Bowl recap as our first live show after the Chiefs came back to beat the Niners back in February. But our first regular weekly show was, I believe, the first week in March. And that first show featured my cohort, my fine fleshy friend, my former executive producer and a good friend of mine, Shawne Mraz. And since then, he's joined us a couple of times here on the show. We have never, though, brought the show live on a Sunday night anywhere. We did the show from Oakland, remember, but that was not a Sunday night show that we did. We did do the A's fan show with the Damon and Damon show from Line 51, but we've never done a Sunday Watch DA Live. And so we are bringing this to the one and only Bob's Bar. Coming up a week from today, let's welcome on Mraz to talk about what his dad is going to be like next Sunday under the lights at Bob's Bar. Backwards Brian says, all hail the Thictator. So welcome on, Mraz. You just got done off the air on WFN in New York talking about another riveting Giants game. How did that show go?
It was a fun afternoon and a fun evening, but you know what? As always, I'm still a hard hat guy. So we put in that Sunday night tape like you are here. And now as I try to make more money than that shift will pay me for, I'm sweating out a Rams -1.5 bet as overtime begins. So It's been a fun Sunday, DA, but I hope it's a lot more fun next Sunday, pal.
I thought that the Giants, by losing and the Panthers winning and the Titans winning, would have really helped out their draft stock. But I'm looking at all the 2-win teams. Where are the Giants in Tankathon?
I need to take a deep breath after Colts Vikings tonight, and that's going to be a lot of my my Monday morning on the throne reading, if you will, to see exactly where they are. As I've learned, basically through our entire tenure together, when the Giants seem to be always in tank mode, except for 2 different seasons, as I have learned, you can't really figure out tank season until Thanksgiving. So every lost round, you stash them in your pocket. But, you know, they say after Thanksgiving, DA, that's where you separate the contenders from the pretenders for Cam Ward. So that's where we're going to be right after Thanksgiving, and we'll see how many 2-win teams are around then.
Because the problem is there's going to be a lot of quarterback needy teams up there, right?
Isn't
Because
it amazing?
The Raiders are going to need one, and the Titans are going to need one.
Yeah.
The Giants are going to need one, and probably the Saints are going to need one.
And dare I say the Jets may need one?
And the Jets may need one, although
dare I say, based on health, would the Dolphins take one?
Would the Dolphins? But the Jets and the Dolphins shouldn't be as far up in Tankathon as the Giants.
The Dolphins have 2 wins, DA.
Oh boy,
the Jets.
True.
The Jets have 3 wins. Luckily, they're all in the mix. Now you're right. This is what I'm talking about: contenders, pretenders. We find out around Thanksgiving who those real contenders are for the top picks. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating. So I'm bored. Get me Ward. You know, that's where we're at right now.
Okay, so Sunday is the Bob's Bar Show. We have not been together for a Bob's Bar Show since June of 23. So we're going on. Oh boy, what? 16 months or something like that. So this thing is going to be special here. Now, I want to know, where's Bob's mentality? Because your dad, huge Yankee fan, huge Giants fan, he can't be loving life right now. So is he going to be in good spirits next Sunday?
Well, yes. So the short answer is yes, he'll be in good spirits. He's very much looking forward to seeing you. He's very much looking forward to having watched DA out there. There are a lot of funny intricacies that I feel comfortable sharing with the crowd here surrounding this.
All right.
Let's just start off with this. Bob showed up in a huff at my house today because we were supposed to watch the games at Bob's Bar. Because basically, DA, as you can tell, the chill is in the air. Bob's Bar is going to close soon, and there's a good chance, watch DA live. Many times we open the summer with the DA show there. We might close out Bob's Bar for the season. This might be the final day Bob's Bar is open.
Okay.
But he couldn't get his cable to work today. Went to a Verizon store to figure this all out, only to find out that my mother had unplugged the power cord and they never checked the power cord. Shifted the whole thing. We came to my house. He was so angry at my mother. He drops this one on me, DA. I had this whole conversation setting up with him. He goes, by the way, just give me a head count. Let me know what's going on here. I still got to tell your mother this is happening next week.
Oh,
so
no.
as it stands
Nancy
right
doesn't
now,
know.
we're too committed. By the way, and my dad had a great line about this. I'll share in a second. We're too committed. As we stand here today on November the 3rd, we are 7 days away, and you've posted on Instagram, so this is really on my mother as far as I'm concerned. My mom's not aware that we're all crashing the house next weekend, which I think just adds to the ambiance.
Oh, my God.
But my dad is all here. Quote from Bob. You ready for this one?
Yes.
You know, here's the problem with your mother. She'll act all in a huff. Oh, what are we doing here? And she'll be the first one Facebook friend request and all the people that show up. So, that's where we're at. But yeah, Bob's excited, though. He's pumped up to have everybody out there.
All right, that's cool. So we're going to go live. I'm going to do Watch DA live at 5 o'clock on Sunday to kind of wrap up the day. And I think by 7, gates are going to close. But gates are going to open super early because Giants, Panthers, I know this is international. Is this a London game or a Berlin or something game?
It's Germany. Have some
It's
respect.
a Germany game. Oh, okay. All right. It's a Munich game?
I'm calling this the Schnitzel Bowl because that's the only thing that's going to be good there. It's the Panthers and Giants. So it's a standalone game. Yeah. So we're going to be hanging out early watching the Giants and Panthers really set the tone for an NFL Sunday.
So that is kind of special that if you're going to come in for Bob's Bar, we've never watched a Giants game with Bob.
No.
We've had Bob's Bar shows, but we've never had a Giants game on. So you're going to get to be able to be there 9:30 a.m., doors open, and then seats are open at Bob's Bar. And I think we're going to catch a break on the weather because
Looks good.
early forecast is sunny, highs in the low 60s, which, let's face it, second week in November, we'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah. So, and the way this worked today is I could tell you, we watched this by my house, Bob's by the Bay. Look, it's going to be a little chilly. You throw a hoodie on, but low 60s you sign for, clear day. There's a couple propane heaters out there, so it should never get like too cold. Everybody should be fine. Look, the sun's going to dip, right? Probably when you go live at 5 o'clock. This is also setting up, by the way, a highly intense, stressful situation. You're going to go live at 5 p.m., you said, right?
Yeah, that's the
Are
plan.
you aware of what's going on at that time?
Oh, what?
A pretty big for the Jet fans that attend this Jet Cardinal game. They are on at 4:25 for the local audience.
Okay.
And boy, those Jet fan brother-in-laws. Wait a minute. Are we muting the game the whole time while he interviews somebody? What's going on? I said, look, I don't know what's going on here. It's my father's house. This is the deal. So we could just have pure chaos with Jets Cardinals as you're live at 5. Just beware. But I think it's great.
Wow, that is interesting. Oh my God. I mean, if there's ever a game to preempt, it's the 3-win crap Jets
kidding.
The Cardinals at this
and
point.
I'm taking Kyler Murray in that game. I can tell you right now. I don't care what the point spread is.
Where's that game played?
Arizona.
Oh yeah, so Cardinals win that football game.
But I'm telling you right now, the Cardinals win. Anybody who's in attendance, you think me where the Giant game's good? I got 2 brother-in-laws that might actually openly weep if the Jets fall to 3-7.
So think about all the things you get to witness at Bob's Bar: a morning kegs and eggs Giants from Munich, and then the late Jets and Cardinals, probably the end of the season officially for the Jets. I said we wrap up at 7 and let Bob be. It's also going to be cold at night when the sun goes down. So I think that's probably the right time to close, right?
And I'll say this. I'm a big boy. I pay for my Sunday ticket. You will have Sunday ticket. There'll be multiple TVs. It's not just one TV. So we'll probably get, 3 TVs out there all the games. DA wrapping at 7, I think, is a good call. However, look, if we're tight in the 4 o'clock games, nobody's going to throw you out and say you can't watch the fourth quarter of these games. I would say the end of that 4 o'clock window is where everybody must be removed from the premise.
Okay. Gordon in Vancouver has been teasing me that he might make it, he might not. He's looking at flights, going to try. Gordon in Vancouver was a hell of a wild card a year and a half ago at Bob's Bar. Is Gordon going to be welcome back if he does make the flight?
So anybody who's ever been in attendance at a Bob's Bar show, except for maybe some people who've passed out behind the pool, are more than welcome back. Here's what I would say about Gordon. If Gordon in Vancouver's making the trip, I'm relieved the Giants are at 9:30 in the morning. Because what I noticed last time, and Gordon will admit this, I've talked with him on Instagram since, you get the clearest Gordon in the morning. As soon as those shots start flowing for him, Gordon by a 4 o'clock NFL window may not be able to finish a sentence he starts. So I'm happy, and then forgets things he's already told you. So I'm very happy if the Giants are the early game, less of a distraction with Gordon.
So if people are going to come in to Bob's Bar on Sunday, you're suggesting hoodie and jacket, or just hoodie should be okay? Maybe a hat?
I think just hoodie's fine. Just hat. Really, look, it's a lot like analytics in the NFL. We got to stop pretending everybody's the same. No two people's blood is the same here. So if you're somebody that gets often chilly and you find high 50s and low 60s chilly, you sure wear a jacket over. It's not going to get beyond freezing, though. And I think that's the beauty of it. Again, heater's going to be in there. You're going to be packed in. You're going to be watching. Drinks will be flowing. So I can't imagine. And again, really unique opportunity to close Bob's Bar for the year. And I think we really need to look at this. Instead of an opening, instead of a random, it's the close of Bob's Bar for the season. So tough it out. Let's go.
Yeah, kind of big in that way. We get to kiss it into the winter months. Now, other question. What does Bob want to do about food? Has he approached you about this?
He did not. That's usually the Wednesday text I get from Bob as he recovers from another Giant loss and ramps back up his hopes and dreams again. Usually on Wednesday, kind of like after he's watched the tape, he'll go back. Look, during the early game, we did this for Jets Vikings a couple weeks ago. We're going to probably have a bunch of bagels, maybe making some eggs and pancakes, a lot like we did for the DA show, morning shows that we did at Bob's Bar. It'll probably look a lot like that. As the day goes on, I'm going to call my local wing place. I'm going to fast track some wings into that place.
Wow.
And then beyond that, maybe some burgers, maybe some pizzas. It could be, we'll figure it out. Basically, look, it's one of those determinations too. You kind of got to see what the crowd looks like, right? If it's moist pork and Shlomo and nobody else, maybe you go a little lighter with the schnitzel. If it's If Randy's trekking in from Alabama, all right, that's a couple more Bubba burgers on the grill. It's a TBD. Let's see what the injury report says.
Okay, so we got to read the defense first.
Exactly.
All right. Well, this is setting up to be a hell of a day. Super excited. Now, there is one quirk here, scheduling quirk. I do a Sunday morning show on NFL radio.
Another hard hat guy.
So I'm going to be doing that from the New York City.
You stop
Sirius
talking
XM
on a
studios.
Sunday, by the way, ever?
No, this is just 12 hours a day. I just do this.
Jeez.
So the show wraps up at 12. So I won't be able to get there for Giants Panthers except maybe the end of the fourth quarter. So you're going to deal with
if you're
Moist,
telling
Gordon,
me
Vancouver, and Shlomo maybe solo.
If you're telling me there's another event at Bob's Bar where you're either working or napping and I'm off to fend with the, basically the animals, then okay, I'm used to this. I'm used to this strategy. I'm used to playing this defense, and it is what it is, and we'll figure it out.
How long do you think it'll take me to get from the Sirius XM studios to your house on a Sunday morning?
Sunday morning, 50 minutes tops.
Okay, so 45 to 50
you
minutes.
Fly right out of that tunnel. There'll be no traffic at that time coming back.
Okay, so I'll definitely be there by 1. Hopefully,
I'll feed the geese by then. You come in like the conquering hero, no doubt about it. And I mean, I've been told some of our old friends might be stopping by.
I've heard there could be a bagpipe sighting.
Oh, that I didn't know. That friend I didn't know about. I was talking about friends we worked with on shows.
Well, then that's where the true magic is going to happen. If you are a longtime listener of the DA show, then some old faces, friendly faces, might be appearing for the Bob's Bar show. And I don't want to promise anything that's not going to come through, but there's been a lot of chatter on the text threads.
Yes, yeah, and I've gotten some sidebar texts and everything like that. So I think it's just going to be, look, all jokes aside, I know I can come up here and joke around with DA. It's been a long time since me and DA have gotten together publicly, let's call it. I guess this is what this would be.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool just to hang out. Everybody come hang out. Let's reminisce, have some good times, and watch some football. And if you want to partake in some gambling on some football, win some money, lose some money, have some good food, have some good drinks, have some good company, and just get after it and have a good Sunday here in mid-November, early November.
No doubt. That's going to be the best part of it. And we are going to be withholding the specific address until you come to us, much like the previous Bob's Bar shows. So instead of plastering your dad's address across the internet, what we're going to do is you can contact me via social media. You can DM me on Twitter, on Instagram. You can DM Aiden as well. I would imagine if you DM Mraz specifically or message him, he would give it to you, or you can email us, watchdalive@gmail.com for the specific address. Again, the town is West Babylon. In general, you'll make it to West Babylon and you'll just hear the crowd when you enter the town.
I do want to say this as you're teasing this. I got a wonderful message from Moist Pork, who I love. He's as moist as ever. And he said, quote, "You got any hotel information for West Babylon?" We've said this in the past. I'm going to say this again. Google's your friend, guys. West Babylon is not a metropolis city with a Hilton on every corner. There are a couple hourly rate places. If that's you, that's cool. But there are plenty of neighboring towns that are a little bigger a town. Farmingdale, New York, Comac, New York, that will have more of the hotels that you may feel like you want the free croissant from in the morning and not one where you're going to get bed bugs. So just look into those and you'll be fine.
Yelp reviews important there.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the nice ones? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to be great. Okay, Bob's Bar beginning at 9:30 Eastern time on Sunday, right through 7 o'clock. The party is on. And when you come, we will have plenty of food and plenty of drink. But of course, feel free to bring food, bring drink to share. That would be amazing. And don't tell Bob, but I got him a little gift. Okay, so it'll be. I
can assure you, he doesn't know how to get to YouTube either. So you're good.
Okay. So this is going to be from all the Watch the Aliens that are loyal to this show on Sunday nights. I got something. I think it's going to be very cool. I think Bob's going to be very pleased by it, and it's going to be from all of us. So this is going to be a cool thing, and we appreciate your dad opening up his doors once again for us.
I love it. I love it. And my kids will be there too. So act
all right.
And I have 2 new nephews that'll be there too. So it's a whole family affair.
Cool. Oh, that is awesome.
Place will be popping. Taylor will be handing out cocktail franks, so we're good to go.
Okay. All right. See you on Sunday, bud.
Later.
Okay. Mraz joining us here on the show. His dad, Bob, has an outdoor bar in his yard. It's amazing. It's so cool. It's got all the games. It's just It's the perfect Cheers-esque bar. It's where everybody knows your name. We've had multiple radio shows there before, but never watched DA live. So we are going to do this show there. And if you can come down, please come down. It's just awesome. It just is really a cool place. So this is going to be a cool event, and I'm super stoked for it. And if you can make it, it's in West Babylon, New York. That's the town on Long Island. As I said before, reach out to me, Aiden, or Mraz, and we will give you the specific address. And we just want to make sure that we have a certain filter system on this so that we're not just splashing a home address of Bob and Nancy out of the internet for everybody to see. Okay? All right. That's going to be awesome. So let me say this. Also at Bob's Bar, I'm giving away Last Dive Bar swag. That's right. I just got a brand new box of gear from Brian at Last Dive Bar. Now, Brian's amazing. Like, basically like clockwork, every month or so, I just get a giant box of gear that I've been trying to give away here and watch DA live. But I have yet to give away Last Dive Bar gear here on the East Coast in person. I gave it away plenty on the West Coast when I was out in Oakland, but I haven't given it away on the East Coast in person. So if you can make Bob's Bar, I've got stuff to give away to just about everybody. I'm looking over at the prize closet right now here in Studio DA. I mean, I have tons of T-shirts, tons of pins. I've got tons of everything. I got wristbands. I got koozies. I'm even going, I think I'm going to give away a cell flag as well. I think I'm going to give away a John Fisher cell flag. I got so much cool gear. So please try to make it if you can, because if you do, I will have something to grease the old palms here, courtesy of the Last Dive Bar. They're just such cool dudes. And of course, we're in the middle of this weird off season where the A's have 1 foot in Sacramento, 1 foot in Las Vegas, both feet out of Oakland right now. And Brian's just keeping up the fight. He's keeping up the pressure on John Fisher. Show us the financing. Show us the facts. Show us the data. Of course, that hasn't come yet. A lot of empty promises and pledges, all that type of stuff. So if you want to, support Brian and the effort to Last Dive Bar, go to their website right now, lastdivebar.com. Use our code Mothership for 15% off any of their stuff. Basically, you're wiping right off the top shipping and tax, and what you're getting is just the price of the purchase, which is really cool. Again, use code Mothership for 15% off and get yourself hoodies, get yourself T-shirts, pins, wristbands, posters, everything. They just got great stuff, and I'm sure I'm going to be rocking some cool Last Dive Bar stuff when we get to Sunday at Bob's Bar. Can't wait for that. Speaking of, I just sent out a bunch of winners this week. Rob in the 321's getting his T-shirt. Backwards Brian's getting his T-shirt. Matt in Calgary's getting his T-shirt as well. Plus, I threw in some wristbands for those guys from Last Dive Bar as well. Everybody got their stuff in the mail this week, and so they should get it in a couple of days. We appreciate all the Watch the Aliens here on the show each and every week. That being said, time now for Beam Ups as Aiden jumps back with us, and let's read through some comments and give away another grand prize Last Dive Bar T-shirt before we get out of here. We've also got your Little Mo laugh of the day straight ahead. But Aiden, what do we got in the comments section?
Well, let's rip through 2 quick housekeeping DA show, Watch DA Live notes. And before we get to our winner, the one housekeeping question that I really needed to ask you was from Timbo Slice, who asked if, again, Halloween related, can you ask DA if he actually liked JP's D-Alien costume? I guess there was somebody out there as a D-Alien for Halloween.
Yeah, yep. JP, listener of the SiriusXM morning show for years, has stayed with the show after I came on a little over a year ago, and he's a great guy, super nice. He kind of organizes the listeners in general from the old version of the morning show, and I know that D-Aliens have kind of come into the fold as well. Mariana and Richmond, amongst others, have been in contact and kind of part of that whole circle. So JP came in. We had a live studio audience. A bunch of listeners came in. JP came in with an alien mask. So I said, what are you being for Halloween? He said, I'm a D-Alien. So I thought that was really cool. A big green, big-eyed alien mask. So that was a nice job by JP. Love the D-Alien shout out. And yes, I thought that was very cool of him.
That is great. It was a good Halloween for both of us. We unknowingly coordinated Dunkin' Donuts costumes, which we had no prior communication on, which I thought was really cool. And
very
so
funny.
They had a good Halloween.
Yours is the full Ben Affleck, Matt Damon jumpsuit from the Super Bowl, which is amazing. And mine was A Time to Make the Donuts, Fred the Baker. And look at this. I mean, it's just all parts of that are incredible. And of course, Aiden went in that direction because he's a true to life New Englander and a Bostonian, and he had to represent Dunkin' Donuts, bro. Got to get my Dunkin', dude. So that is great. And yeah, I was just trying to find something that tied into mornings. And so Fred the Baker, the 1980s, 1990s pitchman for Dunkin' Donuts, was part of this big ad campaign where he would wake up in the middle of the night and go to Dunkin' Donuts to work. And he would come home and be dead tired. And the whole thing was time to make the donuts, time to make the donuts. And he was always tired and miserable and time to make the donuts so that the donuts were always fresh. That's how you knew the donuts were fresh at Dunkin' Donuts. So I had the mustache, the eyebrows, the hat, the shirt. I had a big kick in putting on the costume, and then I had a full 24 box of donuts, 24 boxes of donuts. And so I handed out donuts at Sirius XM this week. So yes, unknowingly, you did Dunkin', I did Dunkin', and appropriately, mine was from the 80s and yours was modern. It was totally on brand for both of us.
One last follow-up. Did you have to pay full price for your donuts? Did they give you a little discount?
I wasn't dressed up as Fred the Baker yet. So yes, I paid full price. Yeah.
Because I went full suit, and the number one question people asked me that day in the office or walking around town was, did they give you a discount? Unfortunately not. And so I thought I wanted to poll the audience if you had the same experience. But.
Yeah, unfortunately in Boston for you, 1 out of every 4 people dress like that unironically to go to Dunkin'. So they can't give everybody a discount.
That's true. The closest one now in South Boston where I'm at actually has a walk-up window, which I've never seen before. And I've lived in Massachusetts my whole life outside of going to Marquette. Walk-up window, and this is a pretty busy Boston street. Walk-up window, they take orders, you can pay, do the whole gamut. And I just thought that was a cool, probably Boston-only experience.
Very much so.
All right, the last housekeeping question, but this one will be our last dive bar winner for tonight. It harkens back to our 10 unanswered joke from earlier in the show. All the mayhem on YouTube, you're going to be our last dive bar winner because this is a throwback question for you, DA. Do you remember when you did overnights and he called in with a ton of dairy treats depressed after a breakup like 5 years ago?
Well, I was doing overnights way longer than 5 years ago. I did overnights 13 and 14. And then we moved to evenings for 15 and 16. And then we moved to mid-mornings in 17. So if you called the show depressed about a breakup and it was overnights, you're talking about a decade ago. So I'm not sure. But I do seem to remember, somebody calling, and I don't know if it was the overnights, maybe it was the nights, and he was just wrecking.
He thought it was the overnight.
Yeah, it's probably true. After a breakup, yes. I will admit that when we were doing nights and overnights, we got a lot of personal calls. It was much less sports takey and much more like what's going on in life right now. It was almost like a Dear Delilah, Delilah type of show. So forgive me if I don't remember the specifics of it, but I do seem to remember vaguely, yes, a breakup and a lot of treats being consumed out of depression. So that's pretty great. And because it's a throwback, we have to give, what's the name of this user?
All the mayhem.
All the mayhem, yes. All the mayhem. You absolutely are deserving of a last dive bar gift bag. So make sure you reach out to us to get us your address so we can get that out to you. Of course, on social media, you can reach out to us or in the comment section or specifically on email, watchdalive@gmail.com. Again, watchdalive@gmail.com. If you know who All the Mayhem is, make sure he knows or she knows that they need to get us that address for their T-shirt. All right, let's put a bow on this Watch DA Live with your Little Mo laugh of the day. And have you seen this celebration from the college football team Incarnate Word? This guy from Incarnate Word goes on his helmet Okay, so he kind of does a headstand. And then as he does the headstand in the end zone, locks his arms in place, locks his feet in place, and kind of hops on his head. It's an amazing touchdown celebration. Truly amazing. Now, there would be very few reasons to bring up Incarnate Word, especially on Watch DA Live, except that NFL players are now imitating this celebration. I think this is Drake London who did the celebration earlier today. And he wasn't the only one. Yes, there is the Lions also doing the Incarnate Word celebration. How remarkable is this? This does not seem smart. It does not seem like this is a logical way to celebrate here. It would seem like you would not want to risk any injury to your neck or head or shoulder. But here, these guys are standing on their helmet, popping up, locking their limbs, and hopping on their head. I don't know. It might be dangerous, but it's a great celebration. It really is. It's a great celebration. It's way better than the gritty. So give me my Incarnate Word hop on head celebration every day of the week. I got to tell you, I know little Mo would be laughing watching those highlights, and wherever he is right now, I know he's got his vision. I know he's healthy as he can be, and I know he's laughing wherever he is, because I know that wherever little Mo is watching down from us, he is having himself a good time. I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact. All right, that's going to wrap up this night and this week's edition of Watch DA Live. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you enjoy the show, make sure you're telling your friends as well. Pass it along. Take a clip of ours. Take a YouTube video of ours and be like, hey, watch this. What they're doing is cool. Subscribe to the channel. That way we can spread the gospel of Watch DA Live. And, Tuesday is election night, and I know there's going to be a lot of stress on everybody. And whoever wins, whoever loses, there's going to be a lot of arguments and distaste and people being depressed or upset. And it is a way for us to spread the love. Because for me, I know this. When all is said and done, the only thing that matters is the love. That's the only thing that matters is the love. So take this show, share it, use it for smiles, use it for good vibes. Whatever happens politically in this country this week, remember, this is a place that we can all come to be one, to be unified, to love one another, to laugh, and to remember that the light is the way. Remember, the light is the way. It's the only way. It's the best way. It's how we get through all this type of stuff. And Sunday at Bob's Bar, if you can make it, please come. That will be so good to see in person. If you can't make it, make sure you're watching here at 5 o'clock Eastern time when we go live. And who the hell knows what's going to happen? I don't know. We've turned the clocks back, so it's going to be pitch black at that point in time, unfortunately. But we have to wait until at least the early games are wrapped up to go live. And so what's going to happen? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. That's going to do it for us. Thanks to Aiden Hatton, executive producer. Thanks to Shawne Merriman, former All-Pro linebacker. Again, our guests are amazing around here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Every week we have a new NFL insider or Pro Bowler or former coach, what have you. I mean, we had Tyler Dunn giving us amazing Aaron Rodgers behind-the-scenes stories. That clip went crazy this week on YouTube. I mean, it was gobbled up by Packers fans. The numbers were insane on that. Before that, we had Charlie Weiss. We've had Golden Tate. We've had Bart Scott. We've had Diana Rossini. We've had Nick Wright. I mean, just the list has gone on and on. It's been awesome. So let's keep the good stuff rolling next Sunday from Bob's Bar Live. Can't wait to see you all. Until tomorrow morning, when I see you bright and early at 6 a.m. Eastern time on Sirius XM Channel 82, be good and be good to one another. Watch DA Live and the Digital Mothership is signing off.